Tucked over here in this corner is a pairing of the glorious 50s Cooper Bristols. These are all the cars going up for sale. Today on Car Traction, you join us once again at a horrifically early hour of some description at the Cheshire racing circuit, that is the undulating Oulton Park. Today will be a very varied day. The main attraction will be the biggest historic classic car race meeting of the year. Today is the day of the Oulton Park Gold Cup, the biggest classic car race meeting, but there won't only be anything from Formula 5000s to historic touring cars to historic Grand Prix cars, which I'm really looking forward to. There is a rapidly growing classic car section. Got the TVRs coming in. There'll be plenty of classic cars from all countries. Got a bit of an unofficial Mark 1 MX-5 section here, red, green and yellow. And just over there is the Hampsons Auctions, a very big classic car auction. So there's going to be so many things to look at in today's video. Still very early. And yeah, I don't even know where to start yet. Let's go look at something. More MX-5s are joining our club, the first Mark II of the day. I say our club, this is just completely by fluke, but a great trio, now joined by Mark II and a black Mark I. And already, just like that, we've got our first cars out. There are many races today. Don't know what that car is. Formula 5000 historic Grand Prix cars. These are the Modsports, which are sort of like 1970s various sports cars, some 1960s, but tuned absolutely insanely. It's old cars like this, but an insane era. Oh, I hope this car was here. This is a V8 swapped Austin A35. Well, here we are in the paddock now. There is plenty to see, but I spy a pair of gorgeous front-engined, which is what I do like, classic racing cars. We'll start off, I think these cars are in the Historic Grand Prix Association race. Look at that. Cooper Bristol, roughly 2 litre Bristol straight 6-cylinder engine. Look at that. These, look at that exhaust, no silencing whatsoever. Recorded this car probably 3 years ago now, sounded insane. Looks to have had a paint job. I mean, it might be a different car, I don't know, but there can't be that many of these Cooper Bristols being ragged on circuits like this. But that is a incredible looking car, that, isn't it? Yeah, that will sound fantastic. Revs to roughly 7,500 RPM, no silencing, classic British straight 6-cylinder. Pretty good recipe. You can actually see how the gear shifter is in the middle between the legs, which could be a little bit painful if you come to a sudden stop. But then again, in these things you just get thrown out anyway, so you shouldn't have to worry about that. But shifting between your legs sounds a bit interesting. This is a Cooper Monaco now. This race sort of covers the sort of 50s racing cars and going into the 60s with the start of the technology for the rear engine Grand Prix cars. And these are the sort of super light early 60s Formula 1 cars. This is a Coventry Climax engine in this one, which looks very tasty, I've got to say. Twin Webbers. Looks to be a V8 in that one actually, so that would be quite a car to drive. That actually got the huge Cooper gearbox as well, so Coventry Climax V8 I think that one is, in this obviously single-seater Cooper. That looks like quite a bit of fun. Now this is a Repco, an old Brabham racing car here. We've got Graham Hill and Jack Brabham's name on the side. Jack Brabham, one of the few race car makers that actually drove his own cars in period. So maybe that's a historic car, I'm not sure. This is 53, that Cooper Bristol. We've got something firing up, perhaps a little Cooper, I think that one is. Sounding very tasty. Very few of these cars have any silencing at all. Here's the coupe with a very nice sort of streamlined tail, and just in the Brabham next to it, that's a stunning car, that Brabham. These must be just a hoot to drive. You can see the moulded bodywork for the intake, for the huge trumpets for the carburetors on the intake of that one. Some of these will be going for sound testing and scrutinying fairly soon. A couple of little Coopers here. These must be such a hoot to drive. Another Cooper, I think this one is, yep. Plenty of those here today. Yeah, these classic racing cars must just be fantastic to drive. Another coupe here, a bit of an oily road one, fairly original looking one. And look at this, we've got an absolutely lovely little moped. This is a mobilette on the end here. That is one very tasty sounding coupe, that. The great thing about classic car racing or any historic racing, thin tyres, lots of opposite lock action and no silencing, fantastic sound. But that's a great looking little mobilette moped there. I think these guys are going out for their quality session soon, so final checks before trying to set the fastest lap time here at Oulton Park. Now here is a pair of very special cars, two Maserati 250Fs. These are just fantastic. My favourite are the front engine 1950s race cars. Once you can see, exhaust, no silencing whatsoever, very vocal and fantastic sounding six cylinders. It's really a privilege to get up close and personal to these. Actually got the gear shifter on the right there, the H pattern gearbox, I think that's a 5-speed, I think. Yeah, you can see actually that little thing to maybe stop you going into reverse, which is quite handy. Oh, that's a fantastic looking car, that. It's one of the most popular race cars, especially in Britain in the 1950s era. Got this one here as well. Can't wait to see these things out and about. Slightly lower mounted H-pattern gearbox in that one. Interesting. Got the engine turned dashboard as well. Stunning cars these. Beautifully moulded tail. Yeah, can't wait to see these glorious classic racing cars out and about. Moving on from the Cooper on the trailer and the stunning Maserati 250Fs, we have the first 500 car, 500cc racing car, exactly the sort of thing Sterling Moss would have started out on, so that's quite cool. There's a whole racing series of these little motorbike developed cars, which will be interesting to see. And this looks to be a pre-war GN. There's also the VSCC racing at today's meeting, though their race is actually tomorrow, although we might stay for their qualifying session. Tomorrow we're at the Orland Festival of Transport instead. But this is a stunning old GN. Got the half leaf springs mounted on the front, which is quite an unusual setup. That's just fantastic. Classic vintage racing car. Got a bit of vintage camera action there as well. Getting the period snapshots of the glorious GN. At the moment, the historic touring cars out and about, Lotus Cortinas, etc. and the Modsports are back in, including this absolutely savage Corvette Stingray. Probably upwards of 700, 750 brake horsepower this. Can't use a lot of it around Oulton Park. It's got a bit of silencing, this one, but it didn't really seem like it had much silencing, so maybe that doesn't do much. But yeah, what a car that is. That was really having to tiptoe around. Just over there is the glorious Osney 30, actually it is. But it's only really the body shell with a front mounted V8 engine. That's a fantastic racing car, that. These are great to see, these extremely modified classic cars. Mark 1 Mazda MX-5, one of the more less modified cars here. So that's a bit of fun. Sound like this one probably has throttle bodies, etc. So that would be great fun. Looks like he's done a lap of 2 minutes roughly, which is pretty good for a little car like this actually. That looks like quite a bit of fun. Next to whatever this is, it's a CSCC, so it must have some DNA relating to some form of old car, but a lot of these are sort of like fiberglass or aluminium shells placed on custom chassis, so this could be absolutely anything, this car, so very hard to identify. Very tasty little MG midget here. The cross on the back of this one indicates this is this particular driver's first season of racing. There's the BMC A Series 1275, although it might have been enlarged to sort of 13 plus, so 1.3 litre, quite big for an A Series in that one maybe. Matched up to a single Weber carb. And then here in the assembly area we have some of the Grand Prix cars. Now there's actually another Cooper Bristol here. This is not the car I saw earlier. So today we'll be getting two of these fantastic 1950s front engine cars. There's plenty of sort of rear engine cars, which is where the technology was going by the early 60s. Many of those, as that Cooper earlier, Coventry Climax V8, 4 cylinders as well, maybe a few 6 cylinders. But yeah, really saw the evolution of sort of the V engine design to fit in the back there a little bit better than the sort of very traditional big straight 6 up front in these classic Bristols. There's actually a celebration for Jim Clark this weekend. There's a load of his cars that will be parading around the circuit. And there's this glorious classic Lotus here. I think I saw that. Oh, another Cooper Bristol. I'm sure you appreciate my shutting up for a moment. Those are glorious cars, but this is the sort of thing Jim Clark would have driven in period. Sort of early 1960s Lotus Formula car. Saw one of these going round a few weeks ago now with no silencing whatsoever. This one is in the same spec, no silencing on the back, so that would actually sound really, really cool. It's a 4-cylinder, I think. That might be an 8-cylinder engine. That would sound so good, that. Yeah. So many fantastic cars, playing with the quick release steering wheel. Those Cooper Bristols take it for me. Got 2 Maserati 250Fs and 3 Cooper Bristols. What a lineup we have today for the later races. I can spy another similar Lotus Formula car over there. As I said, these are going out for their qualifying session very soon in an attempt to set the fastest lap and achieve pole position, the prime starting place. And at the moment, the touring cars are out, so once those come in 10 minutes or so, all these guys will be blasting around the Cheshire circuit. I'm sure making a fantastic noise. Got more of the Modsports here. This is an insane car, this one. This is, well, it's like a body shell loosely based on a Peugeot 309 GTI, but that car's basically won already. It is insanely quick. We'll probably see it later, miles ahead of everything else. That thing is an absolute beast. And I think it's probably got pole position already, and it's probably already won, because that thing is insane when it's competing against things like this very purposeful looking Porsche 944, which is a very sort of thoroughbred racing car. But yeah, compared to that absolutely just insane Peugeot over there, which was just incredibly quick. Huge power, huge aero. It's just not got a chance. There might be different classes within the Modsports series, I don't know, because this sort of Porsche 944 stands no chance against that thing. That is absolutely insane. There's a BMW E30 time attack car here just beyond the Aston Martin Vanquish. That's quite a cool one. This had a 6-cylinder, and just over there in front of it, I think at one point in its life that used to be a Hillman Imp Californian, which is like the GT sort of body on the Hillman Imp chassis, but that does not look like a Hillman Imp engine to me in the back of that one, so that is actually quite a car indeed. It's great to see these sort of 1970s cars that would have been just family saloons in their time, chopped up to be absolutely incredible race cars. This is an absolutely insane MG midget here. Obviously no A series in this one, perhaps a Z-Tech Ford 4-cylinder in this one of some description. Throttle bodies. Yeah, there's not much Abingdon MG DNA left in that one, but it is very entertaining to watch that one flying around. Quite another extreme car is this Lotus Elan here. Full body kit, insane weight reduction. That was another very competitive car, I am sure. And then, ooh, 2 World War I German vintage biplanes. Those are Booker Youngmans, they're from Slate. They often fly over, this time they're in formation. Yeah, 2 Booker Youngmans. Great sight there. So even getting some vintage plane action. Those are far older than many of the cars here. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what these are. Some form of custom built special. Transversely mounted engines in the back of these. Not sure what these is, but this is quite an interesting Morris Minor, isn't it? Maybe a derivative of a Rover V8. Very, very tuned in this wide body Morris Minor V8. That was quite an entertaining car as well. Short wheelbase, just like the Austin A30 V8, so quite a sketchy car to drive, I'm sure. And here was what was a very loud Mark II Golf GTI. I wasn't expecting to see one of these today. A more modern car, but I think it does deserve a mention. This is a Mark I Ford Mondeo with side pipes, V6 in this one. It did sound very, very tasty. And over here is the Alan Minshaw collection. I'll try not to get run over by this racing transporter. You know, all these cars celebrating the life of this Alan Minshaw, who used to drive a lot of stunning cars. We'll focus on the old ones. That's the Ford Galaxy there, which I'm sure he drove in period. There's a glorious little Chevron here, like a mini Ford GT40. They're just stunning, stunning cars. Those, really love the Chevrons. This is another Brabham, Repco Brabham, once again with the moulded intake system that makes the body moulded, and that is an absolutely glorious classic Maserati Tipo 61, known as the birdcage for its sort of roll cage design on that one. That is a fantastic car. 4 cylinders in these, and these are insanely quick cars. They weigh absolutely nothing, these little Maserati bird cages. The whole car is just like a sort of aluminium skin, I think, over what gives this car its name, the birdcage sort of, I don't know what's, it's not really a roll cage there, but the whole car is just that, with this beautiful skin placed on it, moulded around the wheels. And there you go, stunning, stunning classic Maserati racer. What a car that is. Very, very streamlined. That's a gorgeous, gorgeous car, isn't it? Yeah, that will be insanely quick. There's another Chevron here, which is just lovely as well. An E30 M3 BMW Group A touring car spec, and a DAF 55. I was not expected to see a race prep one of these. The Super Saloon, this one. Wow, these would have had originally the Variomatic transmission, but I'm sure this has been swapped. I don't think that's exactly a good racing gearbox, the Variomatic. Yeah, so it looks to, sequential gearbox, I think that is in this DAF. Insane wide body. That is an incredible car, actually. Yeah, race prepared DAF. But what a selection of cars we have here. Here's the back of the glorious Chevron, and the back of that stunning classic Maserati. Fast forward a couple of minutes, just took a few detailed pictures of that glorious Maserati Tipo 61, which will appear on the Car Traction Instagram page at cartraction_vids. But here is the VSCC section, some of my favourite vintage racing cars here. This looks to be a roughly 1920s special of some description. I'm sure there's some GN parts in this one somewhere. Got Riley wheels on it, but it looks to be a GN chassis at least. These are just fantastic cars. Look at those exhaust. I don't think you even have to say there's no silencing there. Just fantastic vintage racing cars. These proper oily rag. It's a totally aluminium body, so very, very light. A lot of these had aero engines. I'm not exactly sure what engine these had. It's very hard to tell with these. Some form of huge side valve. There's a lovely MG racer here as well. That will be a saloon or sort of MG sports car from the 1930s that has been cut down to like this. So there's actually an MG product. And there's another little, probably another little Cooper 500cc racer. Those are really cool. Those just love the look at those. What a fantastic looking little car it is. So we've got four SU carburetors on this. Probably looks to, I'm not sure actually. A lot of these had aero engines in period. But what a car that is. Steering box steering by the looks of things. You operate on rods here, so that's your steering there. Yeah, 4 open intake SU carbs on this one. External gear shifter, H pattern 4-speed or maybe 3-speed. Handbrake on the outside as well. Sort of aero style gauges on the inside. And there's that very nicely patinated fuel tank. It's a totally aluminium body, handmade. It's just great, these sort of scratch-built 1920s racers, aren't they? Here's a very early Morgan Aero. I'm a fan of this little Castrol oil catch can. That's to sort of maybe catch any oil if it's sort of over pumped, because I think you have to pump oil manually sometimes in these. I know you do have to pump up the fuel pressure sometimes in these vintage racers. But yeah, that's a very period appropriate Castrol can on the front there, actually working as a catch can. It does actually serve a purpose. Got the V-twin cylinder Morgan engine on the front, and this is a very, very early Morgan, actually probably late 1910s ash frame, so you wouldn't want to have a crash in one of these at all. And it looks to be a foot throttle. Some of these were hand throttle, but this is perhaps converted to a foot throttle, more conventional setup. Just fantastic. And that's actually a very, very early one. But I'm sure that handles pretty well. So we got some modern looking motorbike style of tyres. So those would actually be really, really grippy. So that actually handled really well. Weighs absolutely nothing, I'm sure you can tell. No silencing, so that's going to be a very loud twin cylinder V-twin motorbike engine. That's a lovely little 500cc race. We can actually look at the little engine. Chain drive these are. On the back of that one, that's really cool. That got another little 500cc racer, Cooper here. And Norton motorbike engine in this one I see. Once again, chain drive. Just pure driving these, aren't they? Little mini version of the sort of Coopers we just saw earlier in the Historic Grand Prix Cars Association Paddock. Got the backup for starting purposes. Just glorious little racing cars those, aren't there? There's another little 500cc one rolling over there. You can see the chain drive working there.
Not bad.
Under this very low tent, we've got some very low cars underneath. It is an MG supercharged pre-war MG here. Absolutely massive SU carburetor feeding that supercharger. It's got a very big sort of bit of bodywork going all around here for the sort of housing of the supercharger to stop it debris hitting it and going through the side of it, which would be very, very annoying. That is one radiator cap, isn't it? There's a Ferrari 328 behind me. There's a Ferrari race here this weekend as well. 328s, 308s, 355s, mid-engine V8s and all of the above. I'm sure those will be very good fun to watch. Those will be racing as well today. But that MG is such a lovely, lovely racing car. Another little Cooper 500cc racer here. We can get up close and personal to this one. Wow, look at that seat. That's probably the original seat from the sort of early 1950s. And there's the interior. No speedo, just the revs, that was all that matters. There's a Morgan on the back. Oh, I recognise that car. Yeah, we know the owner of that car well. That's Racing Morgan. He's got two of those. That's the racing one. He also has a road spec one. And that car has had a feature on the Car Traction Instagram post, so made sure to have a look at that. But here we are back at this glorious Cooper. Fantastic racing car, this. Lotus Land on the move, got so many more 500cc racers here. It's going to be a packed grid of these. Another Norton 500cc engine, that's obviously from a motorbike SU carb on that one, with a very nice trumpet intake. Yeah, I just love these vintage racing cars, so cool. More 500cc racers, you can hear one of them firing up behind me. I'm not sure what these are, maybe Australian Holdens or something. They look to be maybe Holdens. I'm sure these have got some form of V8, got slick, yes, slick tyres, not semi-slicks, slick tyres on these ones. I think that's some form of V8 engine Holden. I think the Grand Prix cars are out, but I'm well and truly into the Paddock walk around. There's so much to see in the paddock here, all the cars warming up. The 500s are going out very, very soon for their race. This is from 1954, this 500. And we got this 500cc racer warming up here. Glorious pre-war Riley here. That's a very nice looking car, that one actually. We have to keep things brief, so I don't want the whole video just to be the paddock walk around. So many 500cc's, and I especially like this bare metal Cooper here. No paint on that at all. These all seem to have Norton 500cc engines, so maybe that's some form of an actual thing, I don't know. That's quite a shiny 500 there. And there's so many of these here today, aren't there? Another lovely bare metal one. The touring cars are coming back in, E-types, etc. in these, so we'll have a look at their paddock very soon. Another Morgan Aero 3 wheeler. Another Castrol catch can on the front of that one as well, actually. There's a very tasty TVR going in there. Their paddock is somewhere over there for the touring cars, the historic touring cars. This is an MGB V8, as you can see. Bonnet scoop for this one. There's an E30 BMW, very, very cool. There's a Triumph Vitesse roars past, that's a cool classic racer. So much going on, gotta love an active paddock. There's the MGB, just behind me is a glorious Fraser Nash, another chain driven car. No sighting again, an amazing tubular manifold system on that one. That is one of the cleanest actually Fraser Nashes I've seen in a long time. More 500cc races here. This is a cleat, I think. It looks like a mini auto union actually, somehow, the shape of that. That's a really cool sort of beetleback design. The cover covering up the 500cc engine. And here's actually a very rare car. This is a front engine 500cc racer. So most of them you see are like this one, and I'm sure you know, and those ones over there, mid-engined or rear-engined depending on which way you look at it. But this is a fantastic looking little front-engined Emery's and the badges on the front. So that's probably another 500cc single cylinder this time. Motorbike engine, chain driven once again. But that looks fantastic, and it's sort of bare metal bodywork, aluminium, very light. But that's actually probably my favourite of all the 500cc races. Very rare being a front engine example. Here we are in the Historic Touring Cars Association paddock here. Plenty sort of saloon cars and sports cars tuned up here from the sort of 50s, 60s and 1970s. That's a great looking Sunbeam Alpine actually. Very nice GT body on that one. That's actually a really nice hard top. There's a Lotus Elan just over there. I smell Castrol R and a Porsche 911 SC. That's a rare choice, that one. Let's see what else we can find. I spy a Lotus Europa race car. That's really rare, that. You very rarely see one of these race prepared. So it'd be great to see that one out and about later. This is a Porsche 924 here. Fantastic looking TVR here. These came with a variety of 4, 6 and 8 cylinder engines. No clue as to which particular engine is in this one. That's a great looking car, very eye-catching in yellow. Over here, there's so much to see in this paddock. This is usually never inhabited, but the Gold Cup is a huge historic race meeting for these classic race cars. Bit of refueling on the Lotus Elan. The 1600 twin cam is exposed on this one. Quick release bonnet. Catches allow for the engine to be exposed very quickly and easily in these classic race cars for maintenance work. So much here. Glorious E-Type fixed head coupe. There's a Lotus Elan there looking very purposeful, but yeah, first E-Type. This looks to be a Series 1 maybe. Series 1 fixed head coupe race car. Now this could have had a 3.8 or 4.2. Thank you, yeah, 4.2, so it's a Series 1.5. This one. Jaguar E-Type, that is one stunning classic racer. Lotus Elan in green just next to that. There's so much to see here. Lotus Elan as well, the 1600 twin cam, full cylinder also out. Morgan racer here, the first Morgan with a V8 actually, so a Morgan Plus 8 I think that one is. I'm sure that's quite a bit of a handful. A Morgan road car here. It's a Peugeot 205, that's a little bit new. Still very cool in black. Another Lotus Elan. There's so many of those here today in the historic racing car paddock. There's a 105e Ford Anglia over there. And another glorious Series 1 Jaguar E-Type. Probably more likely a Series 1.5 with a 4.2 straight 6. Got triple Weber carburetors on this one with open intakes. And probably another fairly straight through exhaust. So that is very, very cool. Huge trumpets on the carburetors on that one. It's a Hillman Impet. Oh no, this might be a Singer Chamois. I saw it on the entry list. I think that's actually a Singer Chamois variant of the Hillman Impet. I might be wrong. And a bit of maintenance work going on the Triumph 2000 at 2.5 PI. Actually, I think this one is. It's a 2.5 litre Triumph straight 6 engine. That sounded fantastic. I hope that one can be mended so it can race later. A little open wheel or maybe Caterham or something. That Lotus there. Lotus 7. A few open wheels. That's quite a good looking one in the bare metal bodywork. Yet another Lotus Elan here. So many of those here today. Another TVR looking very handsome. Well, just as I got here to film some of the Grand Prix cars, got the 250F and 2 Cooper Bristols coming up now. Someone, of course, put it in the gravel. Ooh, very nice Mazda. And put the red flag out. So hopefully they'll come out for their quali again, but even if they don't, we will get plenty of action of watching these absolute vintage beauties in their race later today. I can't wait to see all these things charging around the circuit all together. Quite a setup here, eh? I think these are the historic F3 cars now going out into the assembly area. There'll be a race for those later today as well, but what I want to look for is the Formula 5000 cars, sort of Lolas with V8s. These are the old F3 cars from the sort of 1970s era, which are very, very cool. But let's see if we can find some of the big boys, the F5000 cars. Wow, look at these. These are not the Formula 5000 cars, I think. But these are a group of various Brabhams and Chevrons. Wow. This is a Chevron here, this first one with all of the bodywork off. Cosworth single cam 4-cylinder. No silencing once again. None of the cars have any silencing. Look at those glorious steel wheels, the knockoff spinners. There's a lovely set of them here on the Dunlop Racing tyres. Ooh, a V8 in that BRM, that is quite a car, that. In the distinctive BRM green. That is a fantastic car, that. Yeah, what an amazing set of cars these are. Wow, well I think we've found the Formula 5000 cars. Just look at that. American Racing Series, American engines. Just look at that huge V8, no silencing. I've said that so many times today. Wow, these are just glorious cars, sort of like late 1960s and era, starting the first sort of evolving aero. You can see the front wings on that. That's such a beautiful and just muscly classic racer. And then there's another one here with another mid-mountain V8, got the big air intake scoop on that. These are insane cars, these. Wow, there are actually so many of these Formula 5000 cars here today. These are just absolutely insane. Can't wait to see a grid of these. This is a Lola, this one. I can see the plaque on the front telling me that. Got the master cylinders up front in that one. They're quite vulnerable there actually, aren't they? Yeah, hope you bring spares. And over here we have some classic road cars. We've got the Cooper Bristol here, which were one of these after the three here today. These were flying around. There's the twin cam Bristol 2 litre roughly straight 6 engine. There's a Citroen DS21 there. That's quite a sleek one, but yeah, absolutely fantastic sound. I think it's like a sort of racing evolution of the likes of the Bristol road car engines, which are also roughly 2 2 litres in capacity. Got the 911T, yeah, that's quite an early one, and a very, very sharp looking little Lotus. And over here is the Formula Junior paddock. These are like the little sort of like equivalent F3 and F2 cars in the days of the 1950s and 60s. I don't have too much time to spend on these because the racing is going to start fairly soon. This is a gorgeous one, like a little mini Maserati 250F like the ones we saw earlier. Actually a really wide interior, this one actually. It really sort of bows out at the middle of this car. This is an interesting one. A Stanguellen, this one. Yeah, that's an interesting shape. That's like a 250F, just a little bit smaller. Got the lovely wire wheels on that. That's actually a really cool little race. So you're sat slightly to the left of the car, almost like an Indy car. Actually, you can see it's very offset. That's a very unusual car when compared to the sort of conventional central seating in that one. Well, I've just come back to the car for a cheeky bagel, and what a turnout this is. It's a whole car show in itself. Fiat Topolino to Alpha Spider. There's just so much. Unfortunately, I do not have the time today to have a look at. I can only look at very few of these cars because very soon the Ferraris will be out for their race. The little 500s will be out. Yeah, there's just so much happening on track. So Dad's video is more focusing on the classic cars like this. I think is an MGB with a C bonnet. And all of the amazing other cars here, even a Saab Sonnet here, left-hand drive. I want to say V4. Really pops in yellow, this, doesn't it? But yeah, very soon, I've handily pilfered this off Dad. They will be racing, at the moment, the Ford 2000s, and the Juniors are coming out. And then the Ferraris and the 500cc, so we'll try and get a few clips of those. So yeah, as I said, Dad's videos, well, I've just dropped it. Dad's video is going to be mainly focusing on the classic cars like this very early MGC here, and my video will be focusing mainly on the racing action on the track for all of the vintage and classic racing cars that will be out and about today. But what I will look at is a very tasty looking Cobra here, probably a Hawk replica. Hawk do make very convincing replicas. That's a very sharp looking car, Carmen gear. We'll just have a little look around here. Nissan Silvia, a very clean one. Then there's a very long wheelbase, actually, Morgan there, great looking little Fiat Topolino, late 40s, early 50s. Glorious Series 1 Alpha Spider, and a Corvette C2. I think that might be a purple Morris Minor. Yeah, there's just so many amazing classic cars here. Do not have time to look at all of them. We'll have a look around the front of this fantastic Fiat Topolino. But yeah, time for some racing action very soon.
They were there then. And I said to him, I said, you know what, across the road, and saw them go.
Wide selection of Triumph TR4s, TR3s, TR6s, TR5s, TR250s, a right-hand drive converted American market one on carburetors there. Yeah, quite a showing of these here today, including an absolutely immaculate left-hand drive TR4. These are fantastic little cars. This is the Honda S800 Club. These came originally as fixed head coupes like this one here and convertibles, and then that's that curious long wheelbase one. If you watch my Weaver Wonder classic car road run video, that appears, and as you can see, this is what it's meant to look like, and that one looks like it's been elongated somewhat. But these are fantastic little cars, aren't they? This one red lines at 9,000 RPM. Don't have time to look at all of them because I think some of the racing is soon, but yeah, it's a curious contraption, this sort of pickup long wheelbase one. The wheel is set much further back than it really should be on any convertible or fixed head coupe like this one here. Yeah, still haven't figured that one out. But this is a German registered S800 coupe here, which is quite a curiosity. I think they're fantastic looking little cars though, these.
I'm delighted to say that we have the winner. Tony Goodwin himself knows the protector.
We've taken a brief break from the racing action to have a little look round here. Now this is a car I recognise from last Tuesday's Sweater Mom's evening classic car meet. This is a stunning Jaguar XK120 and it is an aluminium bodied car. I did talk about it a lot in that video so I won't spend too long on it, but these were only made in the hundreds. At first the XK120 was only designed to be not a mass production car, so they were the very first XK120s were made of aluminium, and this is one of those super rare early cars. And then when they realised there was so much demand, they went into mass production, but aluminium was just too much of a lengthy process for a mass production car and too expensive, so the steel bodied ones came later. So this is actually one of the very first XK120s here today, so that's a very historic car, Jaguar XK140. Let's see what we have here. So this is the GTD T70, which is the GTD recreation of the Lola T70 race car. There's another GTD car here. This is a GTD R42, which is like a modern take on the classic Ford GT40. And speaking of GT40s, there's a trio of GT40s here. I've seen that one at Bicester a couple of times. Got the Gulf livery on this one, and a GT428, maybe a different engine in this one. Not exactly sure. We'll have a little look around some of the clubs here. We cannot show everything. Got a bit of a Datsun Z club, 280ZX, and a 240 or 260 here, a few more 240s. These are fantastic cars, also sold for the American market under the Nissan Fairlady Z name. These are the right-hand drive Datsun variants of them. Great, that looks especially nice in blue, that lovely 240Z. Straight 6 Nissan engine up front, or Datsun engine. It's a very sleek car. Saab 900 over here, next to this glorious Austin Healey 100 two-tone with the painted wire wheels. Very nice to the interior, and gear shifter on the wrong side. A lot of these were sold in America, so that might have just been something that was made for the American market and just didn't change for the right hand drive ones, I'm not sure, but that's a peculiar aspect of the very first Austin Healeys like this. Very early car here, a beautiful SS100 Jaguar here. SS effectively the company that became Jaguar. Pre-war car this, just beautiful, beautiful bit of design these. So here we are now while the Ferraris are still going around at the Hampsons auction. These are all the cars going up for sale. Got this 1959 Buick Super here. Just beyond that is the Oldsmobile 98. We'll have a little look at some of these. Won't look at absolutely everything. Very strange exhaust on this Mercedes 350 SL. Looks like it needs some form of pills maybe to straighten that one out. This is £8,000 to £10,000 estimate. This SL350. There's a Subaru. See if we can find some proper old classic cars in this bunch over here. Got the Honda S2000. These are very desirable cars now. 14 to 16,000. Wow. Look at this. Vauxhall Viva HA. I'm sure some of you guys remember these in period looking a bit like this, a little bit sportied up and modified. Steel wheels. Very cool. This is a no reserve car from 1964. That's a very cool little Viva. There's a Triumph TR7 there, Mark III MX-5. Got this very sharp looking little Miner. Quite an original looking two-door Miner 1000. It's quite a usable classic for someone. Miner's quite accessible because they have the rack and pinion steering, so no play in that. There's 4,000 to 6,000 on this 1970 Miner 1000, so actually quite a late car there. That's a nicely preserved example. Let's see what else we have. We've got a Renault 4 over here. Renault 4 GTL from 1985. These things were made for years. Wow, 1985. You wouldn't think it, would you? £5,000 to £7,000 for that one. Very original one though. Great colour. Very bright blue on this MGB Roadster. This maybe is a chrome bumper conversion from a rubber bumper car, I think, judging by the registration. I think it is. So this, at one point in its life, would have had the US market rubber bumpers of the late MGBs. So this has been converted to look like the earlier cars. No reserve, yeah, 1982. So this is actually a much later MGB than it looks. But it has just been converted to the chrome bumpers, and actually the suspension was raised for the rubber bumpers, but this one looks like it's been lowered. One thing you do see when people convert the rubber bumpers to chrome bumpers, the backs are often really high because the rear suspension was raised on the rubber bumper later on, but this one looks to have been lowered with appropriate earlier MGB suspension, so that's quite good to see. TBR Griffith in yellow here, 500 from 1995. There's a Chimera over there. Very smart looking MGTC this one is. A TC Midget from 1947, another no reserve car. Looks really nice in the matching green interior. It's a very handsome little Roadster. E-Type Series 2 here, 4.2 manual fixed head coupe, 30 to £35,000 on this one. I think E-Type prices have waned a little bit recently. And that was like quite a usable Series 2. BMW 2002 here, bit of a road racer spec maybe. It's quite the livery on that one. Austin Healey 3000 there. TVR Wedge 350i. Got some pre-war British cars here. First one is this lovely little Riley. This is a 12.4 Lynx Tourer. 12s having the sort of larger compared to like the 9 and 10 four-cylinder in this one. The possibly twin cam this. 18 to 22,000 pounds for that one. This is a little Austin 10-4 with a very nice Austin 10 Drivers Club badge on the front of that one. This is a good looking little car. Another no reserve from 1933. The Austin 10-4 Saloon, described as handsome in the summary there. This is an Austin 7 Ruby. Another no reserve car, this one from 1936. It's a bonny little thing. Now we come to the restoration project section. This Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow seems to be getting quite a bit of attention. A no reserve car from 1975. There's the 6 3/4 8-cylinder engine that comes in these Rolls-Royces. A bit of a project, I think it's safe to say. Quite complicated cars, those. Series 2E type project. This is an interesting one. Looks like it's been recently extracted from Anne Hedge. 70 car, this one, a 4.2, 2+2, so it's got the extra seats in the back. The interior is actually quite good in that, I've got to say. That would score up pretty well. The engine, though, is an absolute unknown. Another no reserve car, this one. And then this is a very rare car. This is a Lancia, maybe a Lancia 2000 two-door coupe. This is an interesting one, isn't it? I'm sorry, but I have to say, Lancias of this period were made of quite thin metal. The interior is good, isn't it, actually? Yeah, to be fair, the sort of dashboard, that looks like it would all be cleaned up, but Lancias of this period made of quite thin metal, and yeah, they often are seen like this, quite rotten. This is probably another no reserve car, this one, yet. Where do you think this one's at? 1973 Lancia 2000 coupe. Plenty of parts, but it's such a big risk when you're taking on something like that. It can make a lovely, lovely car, but I mean, look at this. Look at this here. What horrible repair that would be. That is a massive bit of rust that could have spread into the inside of the arch, and that would be really very awkward to repair. So yeah, bit of a project. It's safe to say that Lancia. There's a BMW 323i here, which looks a little bit okay, maybe not. The BMW 323i, another no reserve car. 1983, but it does have some quite bad rust holes on this one, but that could make a really smart looking car one day. Moving on, we got this Bentley Arnage here from 97, 8 to 10,000 pounds. What a car for 8 to 10,000 pounds. That is just, they're great looking cars, these. I think the Bentley Arnage, quite handsome. Especially the Continental T, which is the one, a similar era Bentley. I think those look a little bit more handsome, but these is like the Rolls-Royce sort of car, because it's got these headlights behind here, but that's such a handsome car. That would drive absolutely beautifully. A bit of W108 or W109, goodness here. This is a left-hand drive Mercedes 300 SEL, so that's a W108. I think this one 25 to 30,000 on this one. Looks like a very clean little car. Oh, right, so it's a 300 SEL, but it's got a 3.5 V8 in it, so that's either incorrect badging or it's had a bigger engine put in. I'm not sure. The 300 SEL would normally be a 3 litre. It's had a more modern automatic gearbox now. I think there's some trickery going on with the drivetrain on this one. I don't think that's totally original car. Looks a little lower than standard. Jaguar X300 XJ. I'm interested to see what this one is like. Oh, the information's on the other side. Dad used to have one of these. Looks a fairly solid car. £46,000. Wow. Yeah, those are insane cars. About 390 brake horsepower. Always straining at the leash, which doesn't help on long road runs, but they're just a super cool Q car. Proper sleeper. There's a nice Series 1 Jaguar XJ, a 4.2 here. That's a no reserve car. There's an X308 that's got an estimate of 4 to 6, and here is a Jaguar XJ8 Sport in zircon blue, and I know that because this is almost identical to the one we've just bought. So yeah, we've got the XJR grille in ours though. This has got the standard grille, but apart from that, oh, no reserve. Would have been interested to see what that is. If this is 4 to 6 and that's a slightly lower spec maybe, then maybe similar on this one, I don't know. 64,000 miles, 2002, same year as ours as well. The last year of the X308 Jaguar XJ. It's got the SD1 Vitesse, another, oh, this is a Bentley Continental R, this one, so this is quite a similar looking car to the Arnage, but it's got the separate headlights on the front. That's a super handsome car. I met the designer of this car actually from Bentley on my Bentley tour video. That's probably gone live by now, 30 to 40,000, yeah, quite a lot more these. But it is one handsome looking car, that two-door coupe, slightly flared arches, very handsome. Got this Bentley Continental convertible here. Very handsome Rolls Royce here. This is an interesting one, a Rolls Royce Silver Dawn from 1954. Apparently this is the only one in this colour. Slight two-tone, very subtle. It's a Bentley T1. Sorry, I gotta say it. Basically the same car as the Rolls Royce Silver Shadow Series 1, but this is the Bentley variant, which is a very, very sharp one. This is the four-door. You had the Mulliner Coupe, which was the two-door one. This is the four-door I know because I recently went to Bentley and saw both the four-door one and the two-door Mulliner Coupe. Ooh. Ooh. Oh dear. That's a slight imperfection on this Bentley T1. Yeah, maybe it needs a little bit of work, that car. XJS Series 1 Land Rover. That's quite a good looking one. Yeah, I mean, we certainly don't have time to film all of the classic cars, modern cars, sports cars up for sale this weekend at Hampsons Auctions. 25 to 30 on this RS2000 Mark II Escort, Porsche 924 and a Nissan Figure. I think this will be the last car we look at on this little walk around of the Hampsons auction area. And we'll see what the reserve on this is. These are quite desirable little cars. No reserve, there you go. Based on the Micra 3-speed auto, 1991. I'm sure that will do quite well actually because people really like those. Looks like a classic car from the 50s and 60s, but it's a 1990s Nissan Micra. It will start up every morning, unlike perhaps a few 50s and 1960s sports cars. Tucked over here in this corner is a pairing of the glorious 50s Cooper Bristols. These did sound legendary when they were opened up properly on the circuit. This one from 1953. Just British six-cylinder open exhaust, cannot beat it. Well, that's the 500cc racers done. The little Emery's son, which is the only front engine car, did unfortunately not make it. Front wheel drive, yeah.
Drive and front engine.
So now it is the Special Saloons and Modsports, which means V8 A30 time. Oh, listen to the pickup truck.
Yeah, V8 breakdown truck.
I'm using those for years. So many people have gone. Not much love for the VSCC racing cars, including the MGC GT, the Downton tuned car, 180 brake horsepower in that. Very, very lovely car, followed up by a very smart Morgan and an Aston Martin V8 Vantage.